You're listening to another Woodshop podcast, the okayest podcast of its type. Your hosts are Daniel Dunlap of Daniel Dunlap Woodworks and Peter Kapar of P-Trees Workshop. You can find them as well as the podcast on your favorite social media platforms.
Welcome to episode 178 of another Woodshop podcast, where this week we're joined by one of my biggest inspirations in the maker community and one of the few people that makes my 3D printing business look like a small hobby, and also someone that'll put Dan to sleep with the conversation we're going to have.
I'm sorry, what?
Now, when he sees a problem, he immediately goes into design mode and creates amazing 3D prints to solve everyday problems and releases them to the community for free. Aside from his hilarious antics and interesting content, he's also scanned more makers' bodies than the TSA. Please help me welcome, in full color and 3 dimensions, 3D DIY Dave.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
Sure.
Scanned more bodies than the TSA.
You know when you go into the machine,
That was
you
good.
pick your arms up, and then they do the woof woof, and then they sell that data to China.
Yeah.
Right?
I
thought
feel
they were
like
just
that
making
sometimes.
a coffee table book.
I feel like that sometimes when I scam people.
Yeah.
I feel like the TSA. I'm just like with this wand. I'm just like looking for
I'm
metal.
going to need you to step over there, sir.
Yeah.
Do you think every year it's just the system's gonna get bigger? They're gonna keep hitting you up like, hey, we have a new version. It's now you just like press a button and it scans it for you.
Yeah. Well, so at Maker Camp there was another maker that wanted to help me, and we're like, oh, why don't we team up and I'll make a platform and we could do like an arm that will just move up and down and spin the person. And I'm like, let's do it. It'll make it so much easier.
Actually would have made it easier.
Oh, yeah. Like those cameras that they used in the Matrix to get those cool 3D effects. Like,
Yeah.
it
Yes.
whooshes around you.
Exactly like that. But
Yeah,
one camera.
that's actually how they do the 3D scanning booths. You actually walk in and it's like literally like 500 cameras, and you could jump
render them
up
together.
and it's just like the whole thing just takes one photo and it just gets you everywhere.
Speaking of getting us everywhere,
Get me everywhere, baby.
Dan,
Our patrons?
talk about our patrons?
They get us everywhere.
They get us everywhere.
They
And
get us in
early,
all the
too.
tiny cracks. That was weird. I apologize for everything.
It's fine. I had plenty of cringe moments in a pre-show, which is one of the perks of being a patron. You get that early.
Yeah, let's talk about our patronage. We got
Patronage.
3 new patrons this week,
We
and
do.
I'd like to shout those folks out. It's Sarah Goldstein, Rachel Abb, and Nathan Martin. Thank you
Whoa.
for joining the Matt Army. We appreciate all of you. We appreciate all our patrons, and I want to give a special shout out to all of our VIP patrons. And that includes Jesse McIntyre of Sage Hill Woodcraft, Gillette Woodworks, Victor Aragama, Matthew Hoff of Matthews Woodworking, Nick Brim, he fixed his name,
Oh, how grown up of him.
Matt Maynard of Patriotic Pines, Steve Iadarola, Bill Burkle of WTB Woodworking, Malcolm over at Bossa Nova Woodworks, Justin at Calvary Customs, Patrick Gensel, Michael Flickinger, Max and Mindy Coons of Stubby K Studio, and Jacob Miller from A Sweet Shop.
Wow,
Thanks
Dan.
to each and every one of you guys. Thanks to all our patrons. We appreciate you. If you want to be a patron in the Matt Army, you can go over to patreon.com/another woodshop podcast and join one of our 4 tiers over there.
Wow. That is honestly, every time you read those names, they get more sexy and more good looking.
I think they do get more good.
Yeah, they do.
looking.
Get
That's
more
this is
good-looking.
one of the benefits we offer. You
And-
give us money, and somehow you are a more attractive person.
Yeah,
I don't know how that works, but
Yeah.
science.
You are all our sugar daddies and mommies, and you get hotter the longer you're a patron. It all sounds terrible. Well,
Please
without
stop.
you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this, and we seriously, genuinely enjoy as we're heading into the Thanksgiving season. I do just want to shout out our patrons personally as well. Like it's so awesome that you guys do this, that you support the show and make this happen. And we're going to be returning to favor with doing another Patreon call in the next 4 weeks or so. We're going to get that scheduled out. And we're probably going to do the same thing, despite what Adam Barnett wants. We're not going to do Wednesday at 3. We're going to do it probably on a Saturday or Sunday, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Last time we had a
Did we
blast.
do it? We did Sunday last time, yeah.
Sunday, I think. Yeah, I gotta figure out what we'll do. We're gonna do another poll. We're gonna see when people want to do it, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're probably gonna open it up to everyone again. It's just
Why not?
nice. Why not? Yeah, it was a good old time. So, speaking of a good old time, Dave.
Hey, what's going on?
Miao of David Dylan Dominicus Miao.
How did you know my
3D
Yeah,
DIY Dave?
that's my government name. The full name. I didn't know you knew that.
Yeah, we got your birth certificate.
we got it. So who are you? Why are you so special? Why do we love you so much?
Who the
What's
hell
your origin
do you think
story?
you are?
Who the hell do you think you are? What vat of acid did you fall into to be as awesome as you are now?
I will tell you who I am, guys. I am Dave Miao from Long Island, New York.
Long Island.
Long Island. I am a maker, content creator, and funny guy. At least I think I am online.
I think so.
I think so. I think people think I'm funny. I like to make stuff and I share it, and I get inspired by all of you. So I share some stuff and make stuff, and I hope I inspire other people. And that's how I got here.
Interesting.
Say less, fam. What the kids say now. I don't know.
Yeah, say less. Say less.
Which just means say more. I get you. Well, like, what is like? How did you? Because you're a photographer by trade.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're I think you're a fluffer in videos, right? Because you're a retoucher. That's what you're.
He is.
Right. I touch people. I touch people a lot.
Retouch. After someone's touched them, you touch them after.
Touch them again. Yeah. So my day job is I own a photo retouching studio in New York City called House Studios, or House Tribeca if you want to check me out online.
I loved your moving castle, by the way.
Thank you.
Dan doesn't get that joke.
The house. So I started doing this when I was like in high school. I did Photoshop. I was my school had a photography program. I ended up going into School of Visual Arts, and then at this time, like Photoshop and digital cameras were starting to come out, and I kind of embraced it. And then I got into photo retouching. I ended up having this mentorship with this very, very well-known photo retoucher in New York City. And then eventually I left and started my own photo retouching company when I was 23. And then now I'm 40 and I've been running it ever since. That was one of my...
You're old.
I know. I'm Asian, you know. I still look like I'm 20, although I do feel like I do look 40.
You're gonna remain that. You're gonna look perfect for like 50 years, and then one day, boom, Mr. Miyagi.
The thing is, the joke is, if you saw photos of me when I'm younger, they're like, "Oh yeah, Dave aged."
I
Dave
did.
Aged. Yeah.
I posted some sexy ass photos of you on my IG.
The one with the spiky hair.
The
mohawk. Yeah.
I was at full mast when I saw that photo.
I was a good-looking younger man. I don't know what happened.
Good-looking middle-aged man.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you. Yeah. My wife thinks so.
Does she though?
I hope so.
It's a good thing that women settle because we all have wives now.
Yeah.
True.
They're just it's too much hard work to go out there.
Much work to get out there.
to put on clothes and makeup. They just like us for,
you know what? I got Peter. I got Dave. I got Dan. Whatever. Could be worse.
Yeah.
It's too late to start over. Ugh, whatever.
I mean, she has to put up with me doing reels on the toilet and stuff like that. So, it's understandable.
Because she's holding the camera.
Right. No, she would never. She would just be like, "I'm so over this."
Oh my god.
So I run a photo business by day, and then at some point I started making content online because I just wanted to find another creative outlet. I think like a lot of people, that just their job turns into their job, and they want to pick up a hobby and do something fun. And my biggest thing was that I didn't have any maker friends. And I think a lot of us didn't really have a community until we found it online with all the, awesome people that we know today. And I just didn't know how to do things, I knew some things, but I still lack a lot of knowledge and other aspects of making. And it's really awesome that, we could go online and we could DM people and actually get a response and actually get information right away, instead of spending hours and hours on our own trying to find something and then realize that was the wrong thing anyway and make a mess, spend a ton of money. So online's the way to go. And I'm so like,
one of these days I'm going to get online. I hear it's nice.
Yeah, online.
It's
on the
huge
line.
in America.
Yeah. One day I'm going to find this line and I'm going to go stand on it.
I'm gonna get on it. I'm gonna get on that thing.
Heard it's nice.
It's so funny you mentioned like getting into something and then you found a community, because like the whole thing of people getting like hyper fixations, as they call them, like you get into a hobby and then you fall out of love with it. It's because you have no one to do it with, and we do. And it's such a like unique thing. Like we met on the internet, and then a couple of years later we slept in the same bed together in a Maryland hotel.
So gentle.
Another man and
gentle
another
lover.
Yeah, such a gentle lover. It's so crazy. I always
That's
thought
all a
about
true
this,
story,
like,
folks.
It is like we met these strange. Like Dan and I did we did like, I don't know what it was, like 40 episodes before we even met or something.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like we're best friends, and then we finally met in person, and I was like, "Oh, you're just like the same guy." Like you can't get catfish these days, not as easily. The bold glamour filter, though.
That's a joke, right? Like 20 years ago, it was like, I'm gonna go meet someone I met online. It's just like,
don't do that.
Yeah,
you're gonna get murdered.
But now it's just like, I'm gonna go hang out with this guy I met online, and it's just like such a normal thing. And I've probably said that like at least a dozen times in just the last couple of months, like.
Yeah. In our community, it's mostly bearded dudes.
Yeah.
That's weird.
What's funny is like we all have been in this long enough, and you don't have to be a huge account. You just have to be involved enough in the community to like, we probably have a couch to sleep on in every state in the US.
Yeah. I was going to add,
like, I'm going to be in Alabama next week. It'll be like, somebody's going to be like, hey, I'm in this area if you need a place to stay. Like, what?
I'm going to have 9 people with me. Is that cool?
And they're all going to show me their wood.
And you go and turn it. Things are going to get turned. But it's super cool. You're one of the early on people that I met. I think we like really hit it off on Clubhouse, right?
No, we were in a chat together. We were in a DM group chat.
Right.
Yeah.
That chat.
So we met there.
Alan.
He's there. He's a Long Island guy. Well, he's Queens technically, but Queens is on Long Island.
We don't talk about those people. I hear Queens and Long Island is the same thing.
It is. Well, technically Brooklyn is on Long Island too, but
those listeners.
Yeah. I don't understand any of these references or jokes.
Long Island? Long Island's a big island, right?
Is it long?
It's like really long, right? And it kind of looks like a fish, right?
More than 5 inches?
It depends on the map size you're looking at.
Right. Yeah. But the head of the fish has Brooklyn and Queens on it. So technically.
But the head doesn't like to pretend that they're part of the fish.
Nope.
Or they like to pretend they're not part of It's crazy.
This is literally the first time I've ever heard anybody refer to Long Island as a fish.
You never seen it as a fish?
In Jersey, we do it all the time.
Really?
It smells like fish over there. No, I've never.
Well, Jersey smells like trash, so it's fish or trash, so whichever.
No, but it's like it's an acquired smell.
When you get out to Pete's place, it doesn't smell bad.
Yeah, I get a fresh.
Smells like corn.
Technically, he's far enough away from.
Yeah, I think he's closer to Pennsylvania.
I'm out of the fallout zone.
Yeah, he's actually on real land.
Yes,
he's away from the Jersey Shore. That's all that matters.
Thank God. Oh, I can't afford tanning; it's too expensive.
Tanning and mousse.
Mousse, yes.
The stuff you put in your hair, not me.
All right, so you got you didn't get out of photography. You're still doing photography. But you found this hobby of making, and you fell in love with robots. And you do you're getting into some FPV drone stuff now.
Yeah, I love
hobby.
I love technology. Yeah. So 3D printers, I got into that was the first thing I got into was 3D printing. And because I wanted to
roughly. How far does that date back?
That I base everything on before the pandemic and after the pandemic, and it was around 2 years before the pandemic. So whatever year that was, so
2018.
2018, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, same as me.
So it was just like, I think a lot of us that were in the digital world, like you do everything online, you set a computer and there's nothing tangible about what you're making or doing. So I wanted to start, feeling like I made something real and that I could hold in my hands. And I've always been interested in the idea of like 3D printing and the novelty of it. Like, you think up something and then it just does something and you have this physical item, right? It was really cool. It's something like out of science fiction. So I got into that. And then eventually, with every person that starts 3D printing is that you realize you're limited to the space that printer can print on. So you want to go bigger. And then that kind of got into woodworking, and I moved into a new house and I was able to make a wood shop. And then it was the idea of combining the two things, woodworking and 3D printing, which I have a couple of videos online where I make furniture. And it was like 3D printing made up the stuff I lacked in woodworking. So I couldn't make like these round objects. Like I wasn't good at making a base for a table or something like that. So I 3D print it, or I made feet for like a modern coffee table, stuff like that. Because I could build a box and then I could, the feet might have been a little bit harder. So I wanted to just combine things. So I started mixing them together, and then it kind of became like this interesting idea of bringing, the two together. And then when I design stuff, I think when you're limited to like certain restrictions, it helps you come up with ideas easier, because when you have too much choice, it becomes really hard to figure out what to do because you're just crippled by indecision.
Crippled by choice, yes.
Yeah. So you guys get it. Yeah, and that's how I kind of, went into woodworking. And then now I did 3D scanning, which is kind of, parallel to digital fabrication and 3D printing. And I'm just really interested in just now like new technologies and how we can use that to create, because we all live in like this really interesting time where these industrial machines are now becoming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper to a hobby level, where we could all, attain it and use it and build things in our garages that normally would be extremely expensive to prototype and make. And you needed like big companies that did this kind of stuff, which is just like awesome. We have lasers, we have CNCs. It's just really exciting time. And we're seeing all kinds of, awesome stuff being made out there.
I want to back up a little bit and go back to the 3D scanning, because that's a thing that you've become known for in the maker community. How in the world did that start? And when it started, did it go the direction you thought it would go?
Yeah, so this is actually kind of a really, really funny story about, content creation and how Instagram and social media works. And so 3D scanners, like when I started about 3 years ago, started 3D scanning, they're really expensive. I think at the time, like a decent 3D scanner was about $5,000-$6,000. And yeah, and there were some, a year or two later, there's some cheaper ones around like 500, but they were really trash. And I had a someone I followed who followed me. He wasn't a big account, but he does digital fabrication, and he had a relationship with Shining 3D, this company that creates 3D scanners. So he was doing a video of using the scanner, and he tagged them. And I just went in there and just like a drunk message, like typing in the comments. You got influenced
by Lindsay, didn't you?
Yeah. And I was like at Shining 3D, send me a scanner, sponsor me. I'd love to make stuff, And then I went to bed. And then following the next day, I wake up and I have a DM from them. And they were like, "We saw your content. We really like what you're doing. Let's talk. Here's our email address. Message us and send us some."
Oh, snap, it worked.
Yeah. And send us
shoot your shot, people.
Send us a proposal some ideas, right? And I'm like, okay, let's Google how to write a proposal, to Shiny 3D. So I did have some ideas, like before I messaged them, I'm like, oh, like in my mind, like if I ever got a 3D scanner, I would love to do this project and this project and this project. And I wrote a proposal to them. My account back then was pretty small. Like it was, I think it was like 10,000 followers or something. It wasn't big, so it just goes to show, like, anybody who's getting into this, you don't need the numbers. You just really need good ideas. And if your content just looks good, even, at that point or whatever, it's appealing to somebody, right? To someone managing some account. So I wrote to them and they loved the ideas I had for it. And one of the ideas was the Maker Scan project. Because this kind of goes back to my my photo background, was that it was basically a portrait series. I wanted to scan all these makers and basically freeze them in time in a 3D model, upload it online, basically an album for anyone to download and use the files however they liked. And in my mind, it was like, it was back in the day of sitting down with a camera and then having a conversation with somebody and taking their photo and just, freezing that moment in time. But now, like, I have this 3D scanner and this 3D scanner is my camera. Right. And so that was the whole idea of that. And I wanted, I wanted to create like a depository of files and anyone could take it and do whatever they want with it. And that was like the big thing with the whole making. Like that was how to bring it in with anybody to use that file to do whatever they want with. And that was kind of like you're at the mercy of the creator to do, have the responsibility to do smart choices with it or very, inappropriate things too. But it has sparked so many like crazy things that I'm completely in awe of. I mean, you guys can see it right here. This is in the background sitting on my coffee table. It was a mallet that Birchtold Designs, I think this is made. Nick Birchtold. Basically, it's a mallet. Titty Nick, as
Booby Nicholas.
Our group of woodworkers know him as, because he carves boobies on everything. But he carved heads of like 100 and something, the first 150 makers, or 110 or whatever, I lost count, but he carved into the mallet, and he's done other things with it. There's other people who've made chess pieces from it, just printed, people use the heads for bobblehead stuff. It's just like, it's cool to see that, and that's what keeps me going with the project and 3D scanning. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun, and that's part of using technology to make stuff and spark creativity, inspire people to do stuff. And that's the thing is, again, like I always say, I get inspired, but I also want to inspire other people. And this is one of those projects that it's like, here's a blank piece of paper, you guys take it, do whatever you want with it. And if it's just straight printing it, fine. If it's like you want to do something, there's I forgot the name, but there's one maker, he works for a company that does like toy trains, and he's like, this is amazing, like we needed like to fill up these scenes with tiny people, so there's gonna be like this diorama of a train station with woodworkers everywhere.
Like a Thomas the Tank Engine, but it's like your face or Dan's face or my face on the train engine.
You could do that. but there's like but they're like, I think like legit like miniature trains, and they're gonna just
you gotta fill an audience.
Yeah, and they're gonna paint them, and they're so like, if you see that diorama, you might be like, oh my god, it's a town full of woodworkers and makers.
Well, when it's a town full of makers, we just call it a diarrhea. But, but I gotta say, so like that mallet, I was honored to have it in my home for several months, because me and Dave couldn't like meet up, because despite him living within like less than 100 miles of me, where he lives and where I live, it's like a 4-hour trip.
Yeah.
It's because you have to go through Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, all that stuff.
$900 in tolls too, from what I learned.
Yeah. There's one of the biggest cities in the world between me and Pete.
It's crazy. But so I brought it up from Workbench Con this year in February, and and it's just been in my house. And anytime I had the chance, I would just like whip it out, like I usually do. But like anytime there's a maker or whatever, just like look at this thing. We were gonna like shoot a whole video with it. I just kept like putting it off.
Also, if you're watching the video of this and you can see the mallet in the background, that is deceptive AF, because that mallet is massive.
It's humongous.
It's enormous.
So the other thing about this mallet, if you've never seen this thing, like watch the video or just check out Dave or Nick's account, because this thing. So if anyone's watched, if anyone was a fan of Game of Thrones, all of the faces are framed in these like Game of Thrones, this girl with no name type faces. The whole thing's probably what, like 18 inches tall?
I mean, my hand doesn't reach the top of it.
Yeah.
I've probably large size hands, medium to large size. It's around the size of my head. Yeah.
It's
the human head weighs 8 pounds.
Yeah.
No, it's incredible.
The process of Nick making this, the amount of effort. I mean, I think he did it for a contest and obviously won because he keeps winning all of them. He made 2. Yeah. No, it's amazing. And Nick has always been a huge supporter of the whole project, and he's been using it because he was scanned in it, and he printed himself like immediately the day I scanned him when I went to Chicago. Yeah.
Didn't you I'm not gonna go too into detail, but didn't you also scan one of the models that Nick uses in his work fairly often? Like I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
What?
I don't know what you're talking about.
He scanned the birch told.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just leave it at that.
Respect.
I don't.
Respect.
I've scanned stuff.
Also, there's some secret scans, Dan, like topless Jimmy, bottomless Jimmy.
Tell me more.
And then full making fun Jimmy. Like, you know, the crazy thing is
not true. It's not true, everyone.
we're so
Wink.
like the three of us on this call, we're so kind of used to this, like, oh yeah, Dave scans people and then they get 3D printed. Anytime I show someone a 3D printed version of me, I have like a full like action figure one that's like 12 inches tall. I have another one that's done in full color that my buddy Frank did.
Wow, narcissist much.
Yeah, it's great, man. I sleep with it. It's great. I mean, Emma's also there, but I mainly sleep with it. Dude, you turned people into action figures. Like you gave someone. It's such a insane project, and anytime I show people, their mind is like, "What do you mean this is you?"
Well,
they're like,
yeah,
"Can you do that?" Like it blows their freaking mind. But we're so jaded by like being in this world all the time, we kind of forget how awesome this is.
That's why I wanted. So this year for the Maker Swap at Maker Camp, I did an action figure packaging of Makers, and the one I gave away was with Jimmy. But it's like that's the thing. It's like this idea to make everyone into little action figures was like 2 years old when I got the 3D scanner. I was like, I want to make like packaging, and it got, it went 2 years later. I actually got to making it. But it's just like, it is a little narcissistic, but it's just like, wouldn't everybody want just like a tiny little version of themselves? Yes, it's super
absolutely.
Cool. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So cool.
If I ever get a 3D printer, it's going to be so I can print myself.
Dan, yeah. I can just print you. I've been looking for a reason to run my resin printer. Let's go. I'll print you.
All right, print me.
I'm all about it. The thing is, like, a little version of me is in like 3 countries, 2 continents, like they're all over the place.
Can you take that 3D scan and manipulate things? I could use a bigger front end. You know what I'm saying?
Enhance.
Yeah, you can enhance that.
Please do.
But that's the coolest thing, right? With 3D printing is that your design or the file could just be anywhere in the world instantly, and someone could make it. It's just the
people have
thing.
3D printed me and Emma and like posted like in their feed videos of us getting printed, like they were doing the series.
Yeah,
and I was like, I've never even heard of you. This is weird, but I also am like so humbled right now. This is awesome.
Yeah,
so super cool, man. One of the no offense to any of your other work, because I think it's all hilarious and great and really good, but like that was the one thing that like is gonna be on your tombstone.
I mean, it's become a big
everyone.
It's become a big part. It's like I didn't think it was gonna be that popular, but like now when I go to any event, people are like, are you gonna bring your scanner? You know, like it's kind of this thing that I have to do.
A thing people expect now.
Yeah.
For the other thing I want to just point out, because we do actually have listeners that have never gone to Maker Camp. They don't really follow us on Instagram. There's like, they just found us through the podcast scene, which, hello, welcome, hi. You 3D prints, or sorry, you scanned Jimmy DiResta, one of our like heroes for all of us, and
The
then
Godfather.
you split him into how many pieces?
It was like 40 something plus pieces. Yeah.
Like big
Life
bricks.
size.
There were like 9
Yeah.
by 9-inch cubes of different parts of his body. I specifically requested a crotch. I got a crotch piece, so it was great. There's only 4 of those, so very, very limited edition. But we all 3D printed them. People customized them. It was all different colors, different. Some people painted them. Some people like plated them. Not gold plated, but like whatever. They everyone did something different with it, and then we glued it all
plating, is that a
together.
thing?
Yeah. Well, no,
And
the
there was
amazing thing was no. So the part was sent out like a call to action, and there were people all over the world, mainly a lot from the United States, but there was a lot from Europe. There was one from Asia maybe, and it was just everybody printed a part, mailed it to me some weeks before Maker Camp. We brought it to Maker Camp, and then we glued it all together. And then we have like this big full-size 1-to-1 statue of Jimmy
And they all
DiResta.
fit.
Well, yeah, they all fit. There was some alignment gluing issues, but we had like, it was awesome because we were at Maker Camp and we had all the tools to like glue it. Like all the glue was from Total Boat, and we used Fixo. There was some pieces that were slightly off because basically if you're off by like a millimeter or two, that mistake compounds the higher you go. So at the end we were off by like a quarter of an inch in one spot, and we had Tiff, Night Carver Design and she was doing the Sabertooth tent, so she brought over her little angle grinder and she just like grinded off some plastic on the top, and then we just like put like a pound of Fixo on there and then just glued Jimmy's head on. And now it seems like it's going to be there at Maker Camp every year because it was back again this year, so you could go and see it. But it's pretty cool.
I got to hold the tiny wiener in my hand, as did Dan. It came in a little sack.
Yeah, nutsack.
You remember the little?
Where's my tiny wiener?
Oh, Scott Wiener. Yes.
Scott was giving out little tiny resin prints of him in a little pouch with his logo on it.
Yeah.
And so a bunch of people got to hold a tiny wiener in their hand.
My wiener and nutsack is up here.
Yeah. Mine's in the shop, in the print shop.
I don't know where mine is. It may have gotten taken by TSA.
Look down, Dan. Surprise.
My other one.
Oh my God, so dumb. All right, well, should we do a what's on a bench, jump into questions? We can keep interviewing it. I mean, Dave,
we haven't done what's on the bench in a while, I feel like.
Yeah, you want to do what's on a bench?
Not really, no.
Oh, you don't? Okay. We don't have to.
No, don't have to.
Well, so last week we started a little segment called Maker News.
I like this.
Dan's intro was something interesting. So we need like a jingle. Dave, you want to give us a jingle for Maker News?
Wow, no pressure, Dave.
Well, wait, in Dan's fashion, if it was what's on my bench,
I tried that last week.
Was it like
tried that
news?
last week,
No?
and it didn't go over well.
Oh, geez, I hope that does not become the audio you guys use for everything now.
Well,
we might.
Oh, geez.
What's the timestamp on that?
No.
Oh, I'll find it. Don't worry about it.
Cool. 11.
What is in the news, Maker News wise?
So full disclosure, Dan and I did not look up any Maker News this week.
I did,
but
I got some notes.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I was gonna steal the one you brought up earlier.
You can take that one. I have another one. Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, Onefinity released their upgrade kit to get the Masso controller, and that's pretty dope because you can upgrade the Journey. So originally they came out with the Onefinity, right? And it was a woodworker, and then there was the bigger woodworker,
the Journeyman.
Was Journeyman out of the gate? Because I feel like Journeyman got added on.
The Journeyman was another upgrade option.
Yeah, it was another upgrade option, but then they released it as its own thing, and then they released the Masso, and this thing is stout. Like we saw it at Maker Camp, and I didn't realize how beefy this thing was. It's pretty nice. It's got 3 rails. First of all, that Masso controller, at first glance, very intimidating. But then
It's
once you
super
like
intimidating.
look at it and you're like, this does everything. This is awesome.
So I have a question. I'm glad you brought it up because I looked at this. I have the Onefinity. It's mounted to my wall. I
Mhm.
definitely
You're
have
one of those
not.
crazies.
Yeah, I don't have the space, but I haven't used it as much as I would have liked to. But should I get it because I want to use my machine more, right? I don't want. I mean, is this always going to be an upgrade available? Can I wait, or is like, do I need to jump on it to get it?
No, I think
No?
it's always going to be
It's
available.
It's always going to be
Permanent
available.
option,
Yeah.
Okay, so then maybe I'll wait then, because
Yeah.
I need to learn more about. I know it's like a closed loop system, right? Whatever that
Mhm.
means. It's able to do other things, like if you added like a fifth rail, it could do stuff like that.
Right.
It's got more. It's got more control.
It's got more potential.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, and from talking to certain people at certain events, there's more coming down the pipe.
Okay.
So,
So it's just gonna get better and better.
yes, it's just going to get better and better. And keep in mind, folks, that when we do this little segment, we are not sponsored. We're just
talking about
I think this is really cool.
new.
Yeah.
So one thing I would say that like a couple things that jumped off the page at me when Morgan and Stone were giving us the demo at Maker Camp was you can pause a job and restart in that exact same line of G code. So when you're sometimes like, how does the machine know how to do blah blah blah? Like it's code. It's called G code if you're not familiar with it.
That's a
Each
gangster
line-
code.
Gangsta code, and each line doesn't necessarily just tell it like cut here or cut this. It'll say cut this arc at this angle and this speed. Like it's very smart code. And if you ever like hit pause on a job, it tells you where it stopped, and you can go back and be like, all right, I need to like whatever adjust it, or the bit broke at this spot. You can go back to that particular line of code and start your job from there. The other thing that a lot of users that used to have a Shapeoko are used to is you can change on the Shapeoko. You could change the speed live
On the fly. Yeah.
on the fly. On this, all you have to do is just pause it, change speed, resume.
Yeah.
So still very huge upgrade over most CNCs that just cannot do that.
Yeah.
Once you
And
have
the
a
other
code run, that's it. That's what you're running.
the other thing is if you live in an area that's prone to power outages, that's the other thing. If you lose power for any reason whatsoever, the machine is going to know exactly where it left off.
Yep.
And that's a huge thing, especially if you do big production runs or whatever, or if you're doing like a long carve. I was over at my brother's house for this Halloween, and he was in the middle of a 3.5 hour carve. So you don't want to have to start over your 3.5 hour carve. I mean, that's ridiculous. So that's one of the benefits of the closed step motors or the closed loop motors.
Plus, that giant screen is touchscreen. It's a controller. It's everything. It's the box that runs it. So you don't have like this awkward box. Like right now, I'm kind of fighting with the box that's there. Like I have to find a good spot.
Correction. So last weekend, I was able to go over to Braden from Little Bug Woodworking's house, and I helped him set up his because he got a beta version because he was helping the Onefinity folks beta test the upgrade kit. So I helped him put it together. Well, helped. I use that term loosely. I was
Drank beer while
there
Braden
in moral
and Nick
support.
put it together.
Yeah, Nick Brim was there and Braden was there, obviously, and Nick and Braden put it together, and I watched and drank beer. There is still a controller box that you have to mount.
That's right. They had a mount underneath. I'm sorry.
Right.
I forget.
But
it's not one that has to be out and about because the oh shit.
No,
the
you don't
OSHA
need to.
button
Right.
is on
You
the front
you
now.
don't need a lot of access to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. I mean, it's a really super involved upgrade. I mean, there's a lot of parts on there. It took us 3-4 hours to do, and
Yeah. I watched the video of the install. You basically have to take the whole thing apart, remove everything on the old one, and you're basically just keeping the rails.
Oh,
Yes.
Dave, that sounds very familiar with like, I don't know, like a Prusa upgrade.
Yeah, right. except you're not moving like a 40-50 pound rail off the
Well, if you're really weak,
Yeah,
it feels like
those are stout rails.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
stout.
I mean, mine's on the wall, so it's really difficult to get off instead of getting things off.
Haha.
they're hard to get things off.
So the
yeah,
next thing I
what's the
wanted
other
to
thing,
talk
Dan?
about briefly is Jonathan Katz Moses. He's launched this new series on his YouTube channel called No BS, where it's just straight to the point, no sponsors, anything like that. It's just solid, straight information, no fluff, no filler. It's a great series, and if you haven't watched any of them yet, you should go check it out. He released another one today or yesterday. Hold on, I'm looking for it. I should have wrote that down.
Are they long videos or short videos?
They're pretty short. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not super long.
I imagine with the BS cutout, it's probably much
Yeah, it's only
shorter.
15 minutes long. His latest
That's-
released was on the dado stack, and you know the basics of it. And I think it's a great thing. I mean, so often we watch YouTube videos that have been overtaken by sponsors and fluff content, and I really like this series. And I watched this one. Well, I haven't watched this one yet, but I watched his last one. I think it was on router basics.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm pretty good with a router, but every now and then I like to go watch a basic video just to see if I'm missing anything, you know, because I want to keep all my fingers.
Whoa, there's grain direction?
Yeah, right. So anyways, I just wanted to give that a shout out. I mean, I really think that's great.
I have a folder that I save on YouTube that has like my resource videos, you know, videos that I'll go back to and just reference like, oh, am I doing this right again? You know, it's been like, it's been like 10 years since I installed this thing. Like woodworking unrelated. My sprinkler turn on for spring, you know, like I do it once a year. I never remember it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to refer to that video every time because it's like, oh, okay, these are the steps to do it. You know, so it's like stuff like that. Things that you don't do over and over again every day and you do once a year or every couple of years and you need a video to just double check how to turn on the sprinkler.
I have a video just like that for tying a tie.
Tying a tie, yeah.
Oh, I do it
in a double Windsor. I can do a basic one. I mean, everybody can do that, but you know, sometimes I want to be fancy, and I
can only do a double Windsor without paying attention. I have to be distracted, and my hands just do it.
I can't do it on somebody else. You got to do it.
Oh yeah, I have to do it on.
Do it on yourself.
Yeah.
Take it off. Put it on. Yep.
Dave, it's so funny you talk about the
I've done
sprinkler
that a
thing
bunch of times.
because I remember you doing a story about that.
Did I?
The sprinkler system, either shutting it down or turning it off or on. I think it was in a spring. You talked about it in a story.
Maybe it was a story.
Yeah, it was a story. It wasn't an actual post.
Yeah.
But I remember you like talking about how it's like a thing each year and like having to turn it on and whatever. I don't know if you mentioned a video, but I just remember. Yeah. As soon as you started talking about it, I'm like, I remember that.
Oh, dude, one year I did it when I didn't watch the video and I just went to go turn on the water. And I didn't realize it, and like outside the valve cap was open, and it was just shooting water for like 30 minutes, and I had no idea. And I just went outside, and I was like playing around with the sprinkler in the garage, and I'm like, it's not working, it wasn't popping up, and I go around to the side, and it's just like this huge like little pond I made from all this water shooting out. Yeah.
I've had nothing but bad luck with the sprinkler system that we have, so I haven't turned it on in like 3 or 4 years.
You have a sprinkler system?
Oh yeah, that sprinkler system's busted at this point.
Oh yeah, there's no way it works. But like, I have forgotten to turn it off before the first freeze a few times, and it has split and shot. The last time that happened, it broke in such a way that it was shooting all the way across and hitting my neighbor's house, and there was a big block of ice on his house and my house. And
you got to blow it out.
Oh, jeez. I hate sprinkler systems. I don't like lawns, period. So
I know my sprinkler guy. He comes all the time. Like we're like this now. He comes and we talk about my shop all the time, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He saw that I got a new car, and like now we talk about cars. I have like this whole relationship. It's been like 4 or 5 years of like me seeing him like 2-3 times during the summer months.
You might be married to someone else. Aside from your wife. You don't even know.
Well, now I'm really close with my mailman. Have you seen my?
Yes, I have seen a video with your mailman.
So I did a reel recently with this katana, and I was filming it in my garage.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And my mailman came by. He kind of gives me a weird look, and I'm like, all right, let me show you what I'm doing. Like I'm not weird. I'm doing this thing. and I filmed like, can I film you using it? And he like whipped out the thing, and that reel
Whipped
has
out the
gotten
thing.
it's gotten 1.2 million on IG, and then on
Whoa,
TikTok it's
that's
like
crazy.
1.7 million.
Oh
and
my
he's
God,
become
that's crazy.
he's become this like the mailman katana guy. Like he was actually in like 2 towns over, and someone recognized him as the
What?
mailman
That's
katana
awesome.
guy, and I was like, that doesn't even happen to me. Like,
Right?
Yeah, I don't.
You always want that to happen, then it happens to somebody else, and you're
I
really
only
Yeah,
get
like,
recognized like at Maker Camp.
yeah.
Barely there. Oh my God, that's awesome.
But yeah, so now like me and the mailman guy, we're like this. We're like, yo, like I have some ideas for reels for him on the next couple. Yeah, he wants to, he's like all down for being involved.
I gotta get my mail lady involved. I've only had her on one reel.
Yeah.
I think Dolores would
Yeah.
Dolores.
Dolores, yeah.
She'd be a huge hit. I
Just
think. She's,
imagine like the old post office lady worker name.
Yeah.
and she's tiny.
Dolores.
She is.
Yeah. You should get her using the router or something.
God. She's been in my house like 3 times already. It's crazy. It's a very small town. She's literally the only employee. Like our post office closes for lunch because it's one employee. Yeah, it's that small.
So she does the rounds like to everybody, or is
No. She's like the post office
person?
worker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have another. Mike comes around usually, and then there's. Yes, I know.
Mike. Everybody knows.
Yeah, you know
Mike.
Mike. What's funny is like moving from Clifton to where we are now. Like at the old town, like we face the street, so the mail like the garage was open. The mail lady would like come in and say hi and like give me stuff. And now my like first of all we're way like further on a road, so like they don't come to the house. They just put it in the mailbox. And also the all the garages are turned sideways, and I get a lot less interaction. I just get neighbors that show up now, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like, well, I guess I'm drinking beer now. All right, let's go.
No, darn it.
Oh, I guess I'll stop working. All right, any other maker news?
I don't have anything else. That's it. It's been a
Nope.
pretty slow week in the maker world, I feel like.
Hey, come
Unless
on, everybody,
Dave
get
can
off
think
your
of
butts.
anything.
I didn't get anything. I don't have anything.
Yeah, we just kind of sprung this on you.
I've been working. I've been
Welcome
working
to
hard
our
all
new
week,
segment,
so-
Dave.
Didn't Justin maybe hit a milestone with some videos? I think he did his 25th videos. 25th
I have no
video on
idea.
the makers. Still yet to record any one of us, so no big deal.
That's all right. I'm okay.
I guess let's get into some questions.
Let's.
I just accidentally put these out of order, so we're just gonna yellow it.
Whoops.
The first one's from this person.
Hey guys, Patrick Gensel here. Hope
you go.
everybody's doing great. So I have a couple questions, and they're for Dave. First of all, how'd you get so handsome? And then second of all, with the 3D printers like the Bamboo X1 Carbon just reaching insane speeds, and a lot of competition following suit, or at least making an attempt to follow suit, what do you think the next major innovation in 3D printing is going to be? Where do you see this market going in 3 to 5 years? All right, that's all I have. Hope you guys have a great show, and I'll talk to you all soon.
First of
Yeah,
all,
take a nap.
Dave,
Mhm.
you
Yes.
wouldn't download a car. Sorry. I had to. Somebody
Our
had
younger audience
Yeah.
doesn't know what that means, Dan.
I have downloaded a car before, and I printed a car. It just
to.
was.
Monster.
It was just 5 inches long, though. But people say 5
Well-
inches is enough. So
5 inches.
5.
You-
That's 5.
When you
inches.
print a little garage, does the garage go, is it in yet? When you park it in there?
It was a wide garage. You had
So-
to throw it in there.
So how did you get so handsome? First question.
I'm Asian, and Asian people are just
There you go. There it is.
naturally good looking.
So cute and good looking.
Yeah, we're very
Mhm.
Say it. We can't.
genetics. I guess. Yeah.
I mean, there's some. I posted some sexy photos of Dave when he was younger.
Yeah.
Spiky hair.
I was much more handsomer in my youth, for sure.
You look like a skater punk.
That was the vibe. That was what I was. It was very
He was
You
a
know.
skater boy.
yeah. I skated, I snowboarded, I had hair that was very much like a mohawk. I dyed my hair in multiple colors when I was younger too. You know,
Nice.
that was my
Hot.
thing. Yeah.
That's still popular.
Yeah, we could talk about 3D printing, I guess.
Cool.
Dan, take a nap.
Yeah.
So Patrick's asking, with all the new 3D printing innovations and the bamboo going as fast as it is, like what do you think the next thing is?
So
Before you continue, because I don't know anything about 3D printing.
Yeah.
Define fast for me.
No, come to think of it, how does 3D printing work, Dave?
3D
Explain it to
printers.
the people. No, I'm serious. Like, explain it to the people that like genuinely are like, what the hell are these guys talking about?
Well, there's lots of different types of 3D printers, but we're going to talk about one particular type of 3D printer, which uses plastic in a roll, and it's like a string, right? We call it a filament, and that string of plastic goes through a hot end where it heats up the plastic into a liquid, and then a hot glue gun of sorts. A moving hot glue gun.
Honestly,
exactly. That's perfect.
Right
there, yeah. Instead of a stick, it's on a big line, like a fishing line, right?
Okay.
But much bigger and thicker. And then the machine is like a CNC machine, right? Where instead of a drill bit taking away material, it's adding material and it's building it up layer by layer.
Additive manufacturing instead of subtractive manufacturing, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, and that's all it is. It uses G code. It has a gantry system. It has X, Y, and Z. The only difference, instead of feed rates, it's temperature.
Melt rates.
Your melt rates. There is some speed involved, right? And that's the thing with these newer printers, is that it's so fast, Dan. It's like, if you want an analogy, it's like
Dan and
the turtle and the hare kind of thing. You know, it's like one is just so slow and the other is just like, it's so fast that it's violent and scary.
Yeah, it like feels illegal with how fast it is.
Let me remind you that the turtle won the race.
Yeah,
it's no longer winning the race.
Yeah, no, this hair is like consistent and keeps going and doesn't take naps.
So I'll jump in on this and say that, like, for a while there was like slow printers, and then there was a fast, very reliable printer, and that was Prusa for the longest time. And then
I wouldn't say it was fast, though. I wouldn't say it was fast. It was
way
reliable.
Faster than most of the basic models.
But still,
But then the
tell me
bamboo
what
came out
is
and
fast.
So it's the way it moves. So literally, like, we're talking about, like, if we give you millimeters per second, I know you're hard. Millimeters is hard to understand, but let's say like inches per second, right? It would be like, I don't know what the equivalent of that would be, but it's like
25.4 millimeters per inch.
Dan, imagine if your CNC was moving so fast, you literally like pooped your pants because you were terrified.
Yeah.
That fast. Like, we're talking if the CNC was moving like this.
Yeah.
To cut a zigzag or something. Like,
that's literally how fast. His hand going this way, like this.
Like me, I'm
is
just
literally
wiggling
how
my hand back and forth as fast as I can.
Wow, that's pretty fast.
Yeah.
It's like it makes.
I was looking for a solid number, but that's actually
So like,
I can't imagine my CNC doing.
Your CNC currently is like old printers, like goes.
I hate it now. I want a new one.
But that's so like the reason that's able to happen right now is because there are accelerometers that are put into machines now that can monitor the force, that the inertia of the tool head moving and then stopping, and that shake in the machine, it counters that shake. And then it goes back the other way.
Thought of that being an issue. That's okay.
We don't see it because it's happening so fast, and so it is countering that movement and making the prints like perfect. And printers are just like, the next couple of years we're going to see that technology in cheaper and cheaper printers, and printers are just going to get faster and faster. But the thing I think is going to be the next biggest thing is filaments are going to get better, and filaments are going to, now there is this thing called fast filaments that can, like, you know, that are softer, that can print a little bit quicker in these machines that need to melt it quicker. But also there's a material that generally most makers use in their 3D printers. It's called PLA. It's a formula of plastic blends.
Dan, you'll
And
know about this. It's commonly actually made out of corn plastics.
Oh, okay.
yeah, but
Corn.
corn plastic has like changed in the last recent couple of years, where it's like usually it's been known to be soft and brittle, like it doesn't have heat strength, so like if you leave it in the sun it'll get kind of soft. But like people are starting to manipulate the blends and coming up with stronger and stronger plastics, and PLA is like the easiest to print. It gives the best surface finish. It's really nice to use, and I think
Pine for CNCing.
yeah, sure, it's like
like
it's soft.
the good beginner
Yeah, exactly.
element.
Yeah, and
But it
there's
also
more.
it does so much that you can do with it. Like
Yeah.
it's not necessarily beginner, it's just standard material.
Right, but
General
there's
purpose.
there's like the oak filament, like the iron oak, like that you would use. But like people now are like, oh, we're gonna like basically start mixing that with other things, and it's gonna be still easy to work with, like pine, but it's gonna be as strong as oak. You know what I mean? So that's the analogy for you. We're gonna bring it to the woodworking.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Really, really translate it. Nice.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah,
Good.
I think that's gonna be the future. Like really
Well-
exotic PLAs.
I got one for you because here's the thing: like the MMU, which is the multi-material unit,
Yeah.
that goes on top of a Prusa.
I thought that was a movie genre.
Yes, the MMUs. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a
Uh,
Fight Club kind of thing.
Basically, it would like outfeed and infeed material, and like it would then run the material to the head. So basically, you can run up to I think it was 5 colors or different materials.
Yeah.
Print.
Yeah.
Where then the bamboo came in and blew them out of the water. Right.
Yeah.
The bamboo
So-
is a type of printer.
The bamboo,
It's a company.
Bamboo
Yeah, it's a-
X1 Carbon is the printer, and then what's the XA? AX? What's the little
AMS? Oh, the X1.
SEX.
X1? Yeah. So the X1,
Get your mind out of the gutter.
Sorry.
yeah, Dan with his BDSM 3 printer.
Yeah.
Tell
So
me more.
there's all these like new innovations. Like that one, I didn't even see coming. Like I was just like I just assumed that like multicolor printing was gonna be like
Yeah.
way off. I think there's 2 things that are gonna happen in a near future. One, it's gonna be those kinds of prints without having to do a waste block, which if you're into 3D printing, I think they're gonna figure out a way to not do a waste block. Because right now there's like it literally poops material. It like purges
You had me at
the
poops.
nozzle. Yeah, it purges the nozzle to change from like pink to black, for example. So you no longer have pink in the nozzle. It has to push a bunch of stuff.
Oh,
out.
right.
And
Otherwise,
then-
it's going to be like a weird transition.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
like a pink poop, which you have to see a doctor about. So that's the one thing I think it's going to be better. They're going to figure out how to make it cleaner or not have it like goop.
So they have been working on that, and even before Bamboo came out with theirs, they had internal infill structure. So infill, Dan, is when you print something, right? A 3D print isn't hollow, right? The inside of it has to have some kind of material, and in 3D printing, you could choose the percentage of your infill, right? So let's say if it was 100%, the inside of whatever you're making is literally 100%.
If you print like just say like a basic shape like a cone,
Yeah.
it's not going to be solid cone. You have to make some sort of structure on the inside.
Right. So you could make a solid cone as 100%, but you just be wasting a ton of filament
Right,
because you're making
right.
a solid block cone.
Anything beyond
of-
like 25% is like overkill.
Yeah. So like you choose percentages like 20%, 50%, 70%, and that infill usually is it's some kind of pattern. You could choose like a grid pattern, you could choose things called like a gyroid pattern, you could choose triangles, and it's basically making a triangle or grid and it's going straight up. And you're thinking something
My gyroid has been like pulsating. It's inflamed.
So what I'm saying is that with the multi-material printing, they have done it, but I guess it's not super reliable. Where depending on the model you're making, that purging inside is not wasted, and it could do it as a infill inside.
Infill,
So
yeah.
it's changing the colors on the inside before it goes out and does the primer.
Well,
and
Bamboo
stuff.
has a cool thing because like when Frank printed me, he printed 4 of me, 2 in full color,
right.
and the 2 waste blocks were
Yeah.
Petries.
Yeah.
So I have two of them. One is just me with layer lines on it of like purging material into them.
Right.
And then the other one was the actual like full color one.
Every time you say purge, I'm picturing that movie from the early 2000s.
Yeah, basically like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I think, honestly, and this is just my personal opinion, one thing that's going to become much bigger in the next 5-10 years is 45-degree nozzles. I think angled nozzles are going to be pretty big. They're already coming into play with the belt printers are printing out of 45, but also a nozzle that feeds out of 45 is allowing you to more naturally for the machine. There's ways to trick the G code into printing straight overhangs with no supports, but a 45-degree nozzle does a better job of that. And a 45 degrees nozzle allows you to, for potentially running multiple nozzles side by side without bumping into each other.
That was the question I had. Are there any multi-head?
There
printers?
are, but most of them are just going to print the exact same thing at the same time.
So they're not like working simultaneously on the same print.
Not
That would probably be
one. Yeah.
not.
But
optimal.
there is a tool changing printers. So if you have like there's like a CNC that has different tools,
Right.
they have ones with different filament colors. So the machine will actually go back, grab red, do its thing, put it back.
So that
take
there's no
blue.
purging.
There's still purging,
Still purging,
but
that's the
but
problem.
less.
But less.
Yeah.
Baby steps.
Yeah. I mean, those there's always, every year, like Pete and I went to a 3D printing convention the week before Workbench Con, and every year there's always some kind of printer
Maker
there. What did I say? I said something else.
Workbench Con.
I said
Yeah,
making
fuck.
it. Yeah, there's always a printer there that is doing something extra and testing out a theory of like, would this work? Could this possibly happen?
Linear rails. Well, maglev, I'm sorry.
Maglev, yeah.
Oh my god, there was a printer there that literally used maglev, so magnetic rails, like where the magnets are opposed against each other, but they're all
Right.
magnetically
Yeah.
charged. So like it would stop at an exact like micrometer spot on the rail for the print based on what was turned on and off on the
And
mag rail.
also faster. It is
Faster. Like,
even faster than linear
crazy
rails.
fast.
Yeah.
Like those Japanese trains that like go at like 200 miles an hour. That's
Yeah.
maglev.
Right.
It literally floats between like on magnets.
Magnetic levitation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. Nebraska school system
Yeah.
doesn't fail us today.
Iowa school system.
I honestly I saw that and I was like, that is incredible.
Yeah.
If they can do that. Also, they're it's getting to like ridiculous like costs. Like we used to tell people like don't waste your money on anything below $300.
Yeah.
Like it's starting to like make sense now. There was that like giant Elegoo printer for $500 that's now live.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm considering
So
it.
are you
Yeah.
telling me that I shouldn't get my 3D printer from Temu?
No.
No.
Okay,
No.
serious
No.
question though. If a guy, let's say some dude from Nebraska who's
Yeah.
technology
Big brim,
illiterate,
Yeah.
the 3D printer.
wanted to get into 3D printing,
Yep.
what would that guy do?
Just
What
get
would
a
you
bamboo.
what would you
I
just
would
buy
just
the
get-
bamboo?
Get a bamboo lab printer because like Pete said, like the Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon I think is at $1,600, right? $1,600. It's a lot of money, but like if you look at what it could actually do, the price is
Worth
it
it
because
Completely worth it.
it does way more than what you're paying for, and for a beginner printer, if you are getting into it knowing that you're going to use it and you're going to find uses for it, just go to it. Cry once, because as a beginner, that printer just does so much for you that you don't have to learn all the stuff Pete and I had to learn in the beginning, had to struggle with, had to fix and do. Like this machine is just so smart. It diagnoses itself. It can calibrate new filament when you put it in. If there's any issues with it, a QR code comes up and you scan it and it'll give you like tutorials on how to go through all the steps. Like the resources are there. And
So it's like the Mac of the 3D
Yeah.
printing world.
It really is. Yeah, that's kind of
so the
Great.
original
Nice.
guys who started the company were ex DJI employees, so all their design background and everything they brought over to making a product for it. So it's really well thought out.
Interesting.
I will still say, so like, I agree with Dave. If you have the money, if you're looking to get into 3D printing, a buy once, cry once thing, the Bamboo X1 Carbon is your printer to get.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be a little more reserved with your budget, in the $450 to $700 budget, the P1P S, that one,
Yeah.
anyone, right? So the P1P, it's basically that without the AMS, the multi-material.
That's also bamboo.
Bamboo Lab, yeah.
And
So
no
there's a
enclosure.
The P1PS is 1,000. The P1P is basically the stripped down version. It takes out all the stuff and basically is just a really, really fast, dumb printer. Whereas the X1 Carbon is like the smart printer, right? Because it literally does have LiDAR and AI monitoring and all that kind of stuff in it.
Good Lord.
Yeah. But the P1P, I think, is 600. I think. And then, but they have the new one that's a A1, and I think that printer is 300. But it's a very small printer. I think the print bed size is like 5 cubes or something.
The killer of that printer, the Prusa Mini that I have, like, it basically kills that printer because you're also able to get it with an AMS for like $100 more with multiple material printing.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I really do want to get into 3D printing. I'm just scared of having yet another money suck rabbit hole.
Well,
hobby.
Doesn't necessarily have to be that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be, and that's the thing. So I mean, a lot of your viewers are woodworkers, but I feel like a lot of woodworkers on Instagram now have 3D printers in their shop because it's a really useful tool. It's just like anything else you have, right? You can use it to make jigs. You could use it to design duct adapters for, like 90-degree turns and Y splitters and all kinds of stuff, right? It's really endless with what you can use to help you make stuff in the shop. You can make templates, anything.
So many free models out there for you to grab.
Just today, I was in my shop and I needed a funnel because I was putting oil. What is
an
the
hour
oil?
later,
mineral
you
oil.
got a funnel.
Yeah, mineral oil.
And you don't even have to design it. You don't even have to design it.
I couldn't find one. Yeah.
You could go online, search funnel, get the 3D file,
right?
Put it on your printer, hit print. Do something else, and an hour later you have your funnel.
Yeah,
I mean granted,
the bamboo ones, the other ones,
even though the
smaller.
drive to Menards would probably take me 10 minutes, it'd probably take over an hour, because I walk around Menards like a psycho. But yeah,
and spend like $100 later,
right?
But the 11% discount, so it offsets it.
Yeah,
it's basically free. Girl math.
But I mean, like someone else would be like, well, I don't need a 3D printer. I'll just get a 2-liter Coke bottle I had in the recycling bin, cut it off, and use that as a funnel.
Oh, why didn't I think of that?
Oh, yeah, because Dan. Why didn't you? But you could have, right? I mean, like, there's other things you could do, but it's just like 3D printing is just another tool you could use that you could find a use for, and you could keep reusing that funnel. It's going to last forever.
Yeah, you wouldn't just throw it in the recycle bin.
Yeah, after it's done, no. But you can find ways of doing other things, and there's so many people that could make something out of wood or out of metal, but it's just the amount of time that you would physically have to commit to making that thing versus hitting print and just walking away. Yeah, because so many times I just hit print before I go to bed and I wake up in the morning and that thing is done. So
the plastics that you're using, this is something that I've always wondered, and I can't believe I've never asked Pete this. Are they recyclable?
Depends. So it depends on your recycling program in your town, because a lot of recycled plastics need to be labeled because they need to know what kind of plastic it is. PLA and PETG is recyclable. That's the same thing that's in water bottles and stuff, right? But it depends on your town. If they take it and they know it's PETG, if not, they trash it. To be completely honest with you, PLA is biodegradable, but it's going to take a long time to biodegrade unless you really shred it down to like a powder. But you can recycle plastic yourself, but it's the majority of us don't do that, but you can use your waste stuff and your plastics to shred it, melt it down, create it into a plastic block where you could like carve it into something else. Or
Brothers Make do that a lot.
Yeah,
they have a shredder, which honestly makes me want to buy a shredder just for shredding stuff.
But they have like this industrial extruder machine. Yeah, that's like, it's awesome that they're doing that, but at the same time also like you have to have the space for it. And
also, you gotta make the molds out of aluminum and stuff. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, but there is a open source company and people out there that are taking water bottles, like soda bottles, like the 2-liter PETG bottles, basically processing them through to make filament to use to print stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's pretty cool, and that's going to become more and more accessible as they're making it available to people. So you could just, reuse plastic bottles.
Just save your bottles.
Yeah. Or in, third world countries that, have a trash issue and they can't get recycling and they have lots of water bottles. It's basically free printing material that you could use to print stuff. You just need to
instead of it ending up in the ocean, you can 3D print a little like rubber ducky out of it.
Yeah. And then throw it in the ocean.
Yeah. It's recycling the extra steps.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have any more questions. I'm sorry.
Next question I think is from Toma, but honestly, again, I shuffled these by accident, so YOLO.
Hey guys, it's Kimani. Hope you're all having a good day.
Toma.
Dave, hey, thanks for the assist on that last video I made. I have another video in mind I could probably use your help on. I don't want to give away too many details, but there is a couch involved. Anyway,
probably be naked.
On to the questions. I'm going to kind of do these rapid fire because I don't want to waste a question if you guys kind of go over this. So question 1, your background in photography, my background's in photography. So what was your origin story to get into woodworking or 3D printing or vice versa, whichever came first? 2, best camera system for photography and why is it Canon? And 3, you do a lot of 3D printing, and I think you kind of looked at some of the AI stuff. Is there a project that you're working on that's not 3D printing related that you're really excited about coming up soon or within the next year? Thanks. Bye.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we answered most of that.
We answered the first one.
Yeah,
we did.
Then what is the best camera platform and why is it Canon?
Because it's Canon.
I mean, I think that's more of a question that I think Dan should answer because I'm out. I don't mess with cameras anymore, hardly ever.
He just uses smart AI to like replace things.
Actually, I'm gonna say something probably kind of hot here. Hot take: the iPhone is the best camera
because it's more available.
It's more available to everyone. It's pretty damn good.
It shoots good.
It shoots awesome video. And as an ex-photographer, I don't even have a camera anymore. I just have an iPhone.
Exactly. I never take my cameras with me anywhere.
Hot take. I didn't think I was going to come here, but that's what I'm going to come with.
Dude, I agree 100%. I don't use my camera for anything hardly anymore.
Yeah.
Unless the only reason it's sitting on my desk is because my wife just made me do a bunch of mini sessions for the fall.
And it's just getting better and better.
Yeah.
And better.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Is there another question?
Is there a project that is not related that you're excited about coming up?
Actually, just for everyone, Christy and Nick, Stated Woods, and what's Christy's?
Oak Hills.
Oak Mill Hill Works.
They have a contest going on right now for the maker collab, where it's basically you partner up with another maker, and you guys have to design each other's logos. Or so your partner designs yours, you design theirs, and then they're going to be submitted into a contest where everyone's going to vote for the best logos. So I'm excited because it's not going to be 3D printing involved, and of course my partner in crime is going to be Luke in the garage. So I'm going to make Luke a logo, and Luke's apparently already made 3 logos for me. So he's already done with the project.
And has no chill.
Yeah, I know. When he's onto something, he just goes full on into it. So I'm excited for that.
Probably put it into AI and have them do it. That's what I would do.
That's what I'm gonna do too. But I'm gonna use it as some inspiration for some stuff. I already have some ideas of things that I want to do, but that's something that everyone could get involved with and do. So I didn't mean to plug
That's cool.
Christy, but it's
no,
it's
please.
Yeah,
that could have went in the Maker News. I like that
because Luke's on that other podcast.
Yeah, we don't talk about it here.
Yeah, we don't talk about the Joinery podcast. That's one we don't mention at all.
Yeah,
they smell funny.
Yeah,
they smell like the skunks out there, right? Is that what we were talking about? Yes. Oh, okay.
They smell like a DVD menu screen. Just loops. It's the same thing, and it's only like 2 minutes long, right?
Sure.
Sorry, I don't know. I'm trying to think of unique insults for them.
Were there any more questions in Kimani?
Yes, there are. Thomas didn't really have a question, but he just had a French statement. Dan, take a nap.
Okay. Hey guys. Dave, how is your drone progression going? Alright, for tonight I don't really have a question, but more a discussion subject. But first, a little bit of context or background. So before making Dust, I used to build drones from scratch and then do a bit of freestyle flying them around. This hobby led me to 3D printing, and then I printed and sold motor guards for drones out of TPU. I was unspooling TPU like a madman on my Wanhao duplicator i3v2. I think it was like something like 6 or 7 years ago. And during that time, I've seen a trend rising in the 3D printing community where everything had to be 3D printed, and I think it's a mistake. It has its application, but it's not a solution to every problem. I really think it's good for prototyping and for making weird shapes that would be hard to make with a 2D CNC or laser cutter. I also find that it's cheaper and faster to remove materials to make a piece rather than adding a material to itself, like a 3D printer. Well, a classic 3D printer. Alright, also last rant, carbon-infused filaments are not stronger than normal one. It's only carbon dust that is added to the PLA, nylon, or whatever. Carbon fiber filament would be stronger, and I think it does exist, but it's like crazy expensive, and you need a special printer for that. Alright, have a good podcast. Bye.
Alright, why don't I translate real quick, because I I read it as he was saying it out loud in French. So first of all, he says, how's your drone progression going, Dave?
Yeah, so I am learning to fly drones, and last winter I was practicing inside on my simulators, and by spring and summer I was gonna get one and fly it, and
well, spring's still coming up, buddy.
Yeah, next year is going to be the thing, because I got so busy that I didn't actually fully commit to actually getting the physical drone. So I'm stuck still in the simulator and practicing, but I'm just going to get really good at the simulator. Yeah.
Can't you just print drone parts and get?
You wouldn't print the car, Dan.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I so when I got into 3D printing and I saw drone people flying drones at the New York Maker Fair, I was like, this is the coolest thing. I need to learn how to do this. And it's perfect because I got a 3D printer and I could print like half of the parts for the drone, right?
Right. You just need the mechanical parts.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that it's I need to get into getting the motors, getting the transmitters, getting the goggles. I have the controller, and I want to get into it, but it's just another hobby and just not enough time at the moment.
Too many maker scans.
Yeah. He talks about that, and he's like, so before he was making Dust, he used to build drones from scratch, and it was a kind of a freestyle, I guess, freelance hobby.
Well, no, freestyle is a way of flying.
Oh, okay. All right, there you go. So he used to 3D print out of TPU motor covers. Yeah. He was like pumping that out for a while in his old machine. It was a Wanhao duplicator i3v2. Yeah, a common machine. Totally.
It's a Prusa, kind of like a Prusa knockoff, a Chinese one.
Got you.
And TPU is like a rubbery material.
Yes, which is frog pods are made out of. If you ever held a frog pod in your hand, that's what it is. So he talks about during that time he saw a trend rising in 3D printing where everything had to be 3D printed, especially like for these drones, like everything had to be 3D printed, and he actually disagrees with that.
Yeah.
He felt that like he calls it 2D CNC. It's still 3D CNCing, but like CNCing and like removing material or like laser cut pieces were a lot more reliable, but people were kind of just like, oh, 3D printer can do everything. Like, yes, and I agree with him. Like, yes, but also think about how rigid it is.
Right.
And yeah, so he was talking about that. He thinks it's just a lot cheaper and faster to remove material, subtractive manufacturing, such as CNC or laser, than adding material, additive manufacturing, which is 3D printing, where you're adding material to a piece to make it bigger.
Yeah.
And he has a hot take on carbon infused filament that it's not actually stronger, and in most cases, no, it is not. It just it might be more temperature resistant, but it won't necessarily be stronger.
So my response to that is that you use the tools you have, right? So I think it's very accessible for people to have a 3D printer, and it's like you don't have a CNC, so you're just gonna have to 3D print.
You crash it, you 3D print another one.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you have more tools at your disposal, then you can use more tools to make things better. But unless he's more specifically talking about, the parts that people buy are 3D printed, then it might become the issue of like, well, what's the cost to return on the item that you're buying? Is it cheap enough and lasts you enough like flight time before it breaks? Is that worth the cost? Or are you going to spend, $100 on a carbon fiber frame or something like that? That's more expensive. But, if that breaks, that's going to hurt a lot more. And then he talks about carbon fiber filament, which my response to that is that carbon fiber filament aren't all created equally, and there are some carbon fiber filaments that isn't dust but actual strands inside, and the strands, although are broken up and chewed up, they actually do bond more strength than their counterpart that is made of the same material without the strands in it. So I would argue it depends. Yeah.
There's also wood filament, which is mostly plastic with enough wood in there where you can actually sand it, stain it. Well, you can sand any filament, but like you can actually stain it and it'll take a color. And it's pretty cool.
What's great is when you print it, it smells like wood.
Really?
It smells weird, it depends on the kind of wood you have, but you'll print it and be like, oh, it smells like pine or it smells like mahogany. It's really weird.
Interesting,
because like certain filaments, we talked about like in the past, certain woods, the dust, people being sensitive to them. With printing, if you do PC, ABS, some people with TPU, like people are very sensitive to those smells, especially ABS, PC, and like the more caustic
automatic braking system,
or even yes, or even like resin printing, like it's toxic fumes that are going. So if you have a 3D printing shop like Dave has and I have in our basement, if I can't do like a full factory of ABS prints because we're all going to get headaches in a house. You have to actually vent that stuff out, which like something like a bamboo X1 carbon actually has an active charcoal filter that runs through the machine. And some of the like the Elegoo resin printers, same thing. They'll actually filter the toxins out of the air, because otherwise you gonna get sick. Like CNCing MDF on your machine without a mask, Dan. You get sick, Dan.
Negative.
It's all the MDF goes in his ear, so he can't hear anything.
What are you talking about? I CNC very little MDF. I don't know what you're talking about.
CNCDs.
That's all the questions we got written in from Sage Hill Woodcraft, but it's a subject we don't want to go into.
Jesse, we appreciate you, but we're not going to mention that brand on here anymore.
Yes. And Jesse, if you're listening, you know what we're talking about. So yeah, that's it for questions. We never did what's on the bench. Guess what I've been working on?
What you been working on?
Etsy orders. Okay.
Oh, Etsy orders.
Hey, what's on my bench? It's right here. Etsy orders.
Dave, are you working on anything?
I am working on a bunch of stuff.
Go. Give us what's on the bench before we leave.
I'm trying to get it done before Thanksgiving, but I want to make a 3D printing backpack where I am fully wearing a backpack and walking around with a printer.
You can just 3D print in the wild.
Do a mini.
It's going to be a mini printer.
Okay.
But it's a ginormous battery pack that's like
yeah, that was my next question. Okay.
Yeah,
We saw a guy with an actual backpack 3D printer.
Yeah.
Was running off like a small print,
right.
like
so
a small charger.
This is like kind of a quasi sponsored thing where they sent me a big battery pack. It's like literally one of those, you could put in your van and charge a small refrigerator,
like a Jackery.
But yeah, exactly like that. But it's like it's going to be bigger than the printer itself, which is kind of comical. But it's like 40 pounds or something.
Push it around in a wheelbarrow or something.
No, I'm going to put it on my back. It's going to be literally on my back, and I'm going to try
with a tiny printer, with a
tiny
nice
printer,
little Temu printer on it.
Yeah, it's it's going to be kind of hilarious. I got that, and I have some other things going on, but that's the main one on my bench.
That's awesome.
That's nice.
That's exciting. All right, well, go ahead. Dan.
I was going to say I've been doing more than just that. See, I've actually been ramping up a little bit to do this maker event, not maker. Craft fair. Craft fair is the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do a craft fair on the 19th. So I need to have items. So I've been working on that. Yes.
Nice.
Things
I
and
prep
such.
for one in less than a month. I have one. That's usually a pretty big profitable event.
You could get a 3D printer and just print out a couple of useful jigs that you could just money makers that
man.
someone else could have just
you can outsource it to me, Dan, and I can make money on it.
Yeah.
Let's go. Stay in your lane, bitch. I'm kidding.
Right there's the other reason I'm scared of Pete.
No, I fully encourage it.
Scared.
Like, dude, the amount of people I have, it's crazy. Like, I've made anything crazy, but I've made
Pete's
some money
monster.
with
you gotta tiptoe
Rusa
around
affiliate stuff, because I've sent them so much business when the bamboo came out, and suddenly the affiliates dropped off. It's weird. Gotta get that bamboo affiliate if they have one.
Yeah.
But anyways, well, dude, thank you so much for joining us. This is great. Dan got to take a nap. That was really nice. And,
I didn't. I actually had questions. You should be proud of me.
Did. I'm very proud. Well, listen, Dave is literally the culmination of the two of us. It's photography meets 3D printing meets woodworking, and you got boom. Dave.
There you go.
Somehow he's Asian. I don't
have the middle
Dave
part
cat,
of the Venn diagram.
Yeah. Dave Cat.
When you combine Pete and I, you get an Asian dude.
Yeah, that tracks. Because I can grow a beard, but Dan can't. And then what do you get?
I just shaved it off.
This is accurate. That's accurate.
So where can everyone find you? What's your main place of business?
Mainly on Instagram. 3D_DIY_Dave is the full handle. I am on YouTube and TikTok, but mainly I answer all DMs and comments and posts pretty frequently on Instagram. But I want to say thank you guys for having me on the show. I've always been a long time listener, and I love hearing you guys, and I've been friends with you guys for a really long time, and I never thought I'd be on the show, and I really appreciate it.
I don't know why we didn't ask you sooner.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I literally I forgot what it was, and I called you the second after someone
it's okay, guys. You guys are scraping the bottom of the barrel. It's fine.
We are coming up short on people.
You hit up all the woodworkers, and now you just want people outside. I get it. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Dude, for me, it's one of those things where I was like, we've had him on. Like we've had him on, because I forget constantly.
Oh, you guys had Bao on, right?
No, I don't think we have.
No.
Am I the first Asian guy?
You're my first.
I think you might be the first Asian guy. You're my first Asian.
Yeah. Dude. By the way, I use your camera jig all over my shop.
Yeah. I'm glad you use it. It's great.
By the way, I had two intros written. The first one was this. The second one was basically just one where I just shout out all of the Asian makers on something that they do. And then I call out Keith Johnson on his BS.
If you could have done that with any other Asian person, would be me, because I go with it.
I know, but then I'm like, someone's gonna listen to this podcast 3 years from now.
Yeah.
And it just won't,
because I'm gonna run for Senate in the next couple years.
I'm trying, but they won't take my application. Apparently something about Polish.
You can run for Senate, you just can't be president.
You can't be president. Yeah.
It's still frowned upon.
Man, I think you'd be okay this day and
I
age.
wasn't, brought up in a small town in Arkansas and, came up with.
What was Arnold? He's Austrian, right?
Yeah.
Arnold's Austrian. It's not that far from you.
I know you could, but I have no interest in politics. It's hard enough to keep up with Etsy and Instagram and blog.
Etsy is my politics.
Right. Yeah, I can barely satisfy their needs. I can't handle a whole town or county or state.
You
City
win if
council.
you accidentally send inappropriate photos in your chat to people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You better believe that I've got so many screenshots just in case. Just in case.
A little inside joke there, people.
I always keep the receipts.
Oh, yeah. If you don't know what we're talking about, listen to this week's pre-show. If you're not a patron and you can't listen to it, you can check it on our YouTube a week after we do the podcast. So
True.
You can get it there. There's a great, hilarious story from Justin Bailey who had a little whoopsie on.
I dare you not to laugh.
I don't think it was little.
It was
not little.
It was. I'm glad it was censored because if he tried to send that file before, Etsy would have been like file size too big. It would have not sent it.
There's some hints for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. This is off the rails. Hey, another shout out to our patrons. We appreciate all you guys helping us out. You literally keep the lights on. And currently, my light is blue. So appreciate that. If you want to join the Matt Army, go over to Another Woodshop Podcast on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Another Woodshop Podcast, and join over there. Once again, I want to give a big thank you to Dave for joining us. We should have done this sooner.
Yeah.
And I feel almost a little bad, but
and
not a lot.
Next week for Richard Television, also known as
AKA
Ricky TV.
Ricky TV.
Gonna be joining
Another
us.
Long Islander.
Long Islander.
Long Island.
We're on the
All
Long
right.
Island streak. November is Long Island Awareness Month.
Dear God.
We should lead into that. Just get like Trent and get Sam on again.
Yeah.
And just do all of Long Island.
All right.
Pivot hard into it.
Yeah. All right. Love y'all.
Long
Thank you
Island
guys for listening. We'll see y'all next week. Love you. Bye.
Love you a long time. Bye-bye.